How's it going, guys? Today we're talking about stance and posture in striking. All right, something that I get asked about a ton is just basic stance and posture. People want to know, am I blading too much? Am I too square? And something that I will say is that it's gonna change from person to person, from body type to individual, okay? This is my basic stance here. Fingertips by my temples. I have a nice little stagger between my feet. I'm not too close with my feet and I'm not super long. A good check for me is, can I move forward easily, backwards, left, right, and can I turn either direction without losing any speed or mobility or agility? So, like I said, that's gonna change from person to person. So there's no real like end-all be-all stance for everybody, okay? A couple of notes on this is you are definitely gonna want your shoulders, for the most part, are gonna stay stacked over your hips, okay? A lot of times when we're starting out, you see a lot of people leaning to kind of compensate for range, but now my butt's behind me, I'm not very agile, I'm not very explosive here. So if you need to move in on a target, move in with your feet so that your shoulders are staying stacked over your hips, okay? So this is good right here, right? Versus like overextending and reaching here. Now, that being said, there are times where I can do what's called head baiting. You see a lot of really high-end fighters do this, and that's where they are kind of way top heavy. You know, head kind of past the hips a little bit. That way they can bait their opponent to hit. Boom, they sit right back down into their kind of basic stance and basic posture to fire there. So you can be here, whop, boom. But for beginners and for just starting out, don't worry about any of that. Just worry about finding a spot in your stance, like I said, that you can move forward, you can move in all directions pretty comfortably, really without any trouble. Left, right, around, here, okay? Another thing is like, where are the hand placement? Super like old school, like thinking like Sagat from Street Fighter is like hands out here, right? A lot of today's striking has kind of evolved past that, I think. And I think it's gonna be more kind of here. My hands are high so I can parry over the top, but they're not so high where I can't block to the body, I can't catch these kicks, etc. Okay, so I'm here versus like standing really upright, okay? Another big bullet point for me is this back foot. You're gonna lose a lot of speed and explosivity if your foot is faced off to the side, okay? You really wanna keep that toe pointed at your target, wherever it's at, and your heel lifted. Almost like, my heel almost never touches the ground unless I'm really like gonna plan off of it or unless I'm in like a defensive position. So if I'm moving in, moving out, moving around, my heel stays up here. The metaphor I always make in class is, you know, if you and I were gonna race, say we're gonna race through the wall, right? My hips would be pretty square and my heel would be lifted and I would be a lot more explosive here. I would never take off for a sprint with my foot off to the side. You guys see that? This is gonna be really slow. It's not gonna be very explosive. And as you know, in boxing and striking, milliseconds are years to us. So if this is even a little bit slower than this, that's definitely something worth keeping track of. So try and work that into your shadow boxing, try and work that into your daily routine, whether you're hitting the bag, shadow boxing, hitting pads, like even look at your training partner's feet and see like, you know, are their hips pretty square on me? Is their foot face towards me? If their foot's to the side, you can always tell your buddy like, hey, like maybe square your foot up a little bit, point your toe at your target, you're just gonna be quicker to get there, okay? Striking is essentially miniature sprints, right? We're doing really fast movements here. So if your feet are set for a sprint, you'll be able to execute that a little bit better. And then as far as different stances and different styles. For striking, for the most part, like I said, this is where we're at. You might see some people blade out a little bit, more like boxing, kind of karate style. And this is okay to do too. You know, it all depends on who's standing in front of you. If someone isn't threatening the low kick, or maybe they're just kind of tapping the low kick, then you can get away with blading a little bit, because I'm not really worried about taking that low kick. I can take advantage of this as really darting in and darting out really fast with this bladed stance. And it's just another look, it's just another style that you can show your opponent and maybe just give them some more information and data to worry about. In the meantime, you end up right back in your home stance, firing some power and just doing this for kind of show sometimes. So that's another thing I see people get away with. One of the most like semi-controversial topics in striking is like swinging the hand during kicks versus not swinging the hand during kicks. And the answer is both are useful in their own right. You see a lot of like European style, or like a lot of the guys like in Fusion, Glory, kickboxing, you see a lot of guys will kind of keep their hands up here and like slam these low kicks. The reason they're doing this is because they're anticipating the counter big time. They know that their opponent is trying to box as soon as they kick. So that is a great counter for exactly that. If every time I low kick someone, I'm getting countered over the top, I'm probably not gonna sacrifice part of my guard every time unless I really have them set up. If I have someone backed up, moving towards the ropes, and I know that I'm not really worried about their counter over the top, then I'm gonna swing this hand and slam that kick, okay? The hand swing, it just exists as a counterbalance, as a lever. It's gonna help you with speed and power on the way in, and it's gonna help you return back to your stance. It's on you to gauge when I wanna keep my hands up and kick. They're both fine to do. It's just about stylistic preference, and it's about, again, it's always about who's in front of you. You have to constantly adapt to, maybe you're at sparring with your training partners. This guy is gonna spar different than that guy. This person's gonna be more hands heavy, kick heavy, etc. So it's on you to figure out which stances, which postures, which hand swing or lack of hand swing is better for that moment in time. For the teeps, for the kicks, I love to swing for power and for the return. For teeps specifically, I'm almost always going to swing my hand. My teep range is going to be longer than their boxing. Here. I mean, maybe if I'm really marching someone down, boom, boom, maybe I'll keep my both hands pinned. But it just feels more natural to me. It's just literally the way I was kind of raised, was to swing the hand as a lever and really use it to counterbalance the lower half of your body. If you look at someone from a third person perspective and they're disconnected, their upper body is disconnected from their lower body, it looks clunky and it just doesn't look as explosive or as athletic. So that's something that I use a lot to make sure. I mean, if you've ever hit pads with me, you're gonna hear me say a million times, you know, left hand tight, right hand swing, right hand tight, left hand swing, over and over and over until it just becomes part of the motion, nice and fluid without even thinking about it. If you guys like that, please let us know. Hit like, subscribe, you know, all that jazz. And then if you have any other specific questions on stance, on posture, please friggin' message us, leave it in the comments, send me a message personally, I don't care. I love hearing these things that are going on in you guys' heads. You know, sometimes we've been doing this for so long that things seem obvious to us. So, you know, ask your questions and we'll do our best to get to them, okay?